Time. It's the one thing we all wish we had more of. Yet far too often, our time is consumed by endless meetings and fixing things that others should handle. And when you're stuck in this cycle, there's no room to think, plan, or focus on the moves that truly grow the business. See, leadership isn't about grinding. It's about inspiring progress and driving meaningful change. Today, I'm going to unpack a couple of simple ways that you can free up your time for more strategic work. Let's dive in. Let's talk about the leadership trap. See, most leaders spend their day solving problems, mediating disputes, and approving minor decisions. The challenge with this unconscious reactive cycle is that strategic priorities end up on the back burner. If left unchecked, our day and our week will be consumed by firefighting activities. This leadership trap is not only draining, it's frustrating, and it's definitely not sustainable. I want you to imagine a different scenario. Imagine if a majority of your time was spent on things that actually matter, like shaping your company's future, building strategic partnerships, or driving operational efficiency that'll increase its valuation. I'm talking about working on the things a senior executive like yourself need to be working on. In order to do that, you need the right systems and habits in place. Let me walk you through a couple of habits and systems that have made a big difference for me. As I do, I want you to challenge yourself to find one or two that you could implement. The first one, audit and reclaim your calendar. See, I want you to think of your calendar as a Google map for the week ahead. It reflects your priorities and it also reflects your focus. If it's packed with low value tasks, it's time for a reset. And the way, when I coach people on this, I always tell them to start by taking a look at how you spent your time last week. How much of it was spent on high value work versus things that someone else should handle? Be brutally honest, right? And the other thing I would tell people is block out time for strategic thinking, planning, or just stepping back to get perspective. These blocks of time should be as sacred as your most important client meetings. And the third thing when I talk about calendars with them is I talk about canceling or shorten meetings that don't have a clear purpose. Better yet, empower someone else to run them and just get the key takeaways. I was working with one executive who shared his calendar with me, and there was one-on-one meetings with his team all over the place. I suggested to him to reduce them to 30 minutes. He initially pushed back, but a few weeks later, he told me that it made his meetings that much more productive because it eliminated all the bullshit stuff. The second thing I want to share with you is build a decision-making framework for your team. What do I mean by that? If your team needs you for every decision, you're the bottleneck. It's time to fix it, right? A well-structured decision-making framework not only frees up your time, it empowers your team to take ownership. You can start by defining boundaries and being clear about which decisions your team can make on their own and which ones need your input. See, this isn't about letting go entirely. It's about creating guidelines that let your team operate without constant handholding. When someone comes to you with a problem, right, you should ask, hey, what do you think? See, that right there just shifts the responsibility to them and begins to build their critical thinking and their confidence. And you also got to share the values and priorities that guide your decisions with your team, right? So they can align their decision making with yours. So this not only will save you time, but also creates consistency. The third thing is to simplify, right? I always like to say simplify to amplify, right? I just love that, right? I say that because a cluttered environment leads to a cluttered mind. So I want you to think about the time you spend jumping between tasks or responding to interruptions. Every ping or last minute request chips away at your ability to focus on what truly matters. And simplifying isn't just about decluttering. It's about creating space for the kind of work that drives real impact. What does that look like? Right? Start by looking for redundant workflows and automate where you can and delegate the rest. Establish focus hours for uninterrupted deep work. A lot of people struggle with this, but trust me, the world won't end if you're offline for a couple hours just to think. And then one of my favorite ones is just group similar tasks together to minimize context switching. For example, handle all your emails or approvals in one little session, right? Instead of scattering them throughout the day, because that's the ping that I keep talking about. Number 4, you got to develop your team. Here's the hard truth. You're only as good as the team you surround yourself with. That's just a fact. And that team needs to be self-sufficient. If you want to free yourself up, you need to invest in your team's growth. A team that can think, a team that can decide and act independently is the ultimate time saver. And instead of checking in on every detail with them, spend your time coaching them, right? Help them develop the skills and confidence to take ownership of their work. And those regular check-ins that you have with them, they're really super important, but they're not about micromanaging, right? You got to reset your focus for them. Use them as an opportunity to provide guidance, recognize their progress, thank them for their efforts, and support them where it's needed. When you recognize people's achievements, you begin to build a culture of trust and accountability, because when people feel valued, they step up, and that makes your life easier. And lastly, number 5, prioritize the work that only you can do. So your unique value as a leader isn't in the day-to-day, it's in shaping the future. Every hour you spend on low-value tasks is an hour you can't invest in driving the vision forward. By narrowing your focus to what truly matters, you not only amplify your impact, but you also empower your team to step up to handle the rest. When I coach senior executives, I always tell them to start by identifying the top 3 strategic priorities that need your focus, that will have the biggest impact on the business, and then delegate everything else. That's always an interesting conversation, right? But I say that because not every problem needs your input. You have to learn to let go what doesn't align with those top 3 strategic priorities. And you got to spend your energy on high leverage activities like relationship building, innovation, and decisions that drive long-term growth. All right, I'll stop there. I just gave you 5 things that you can implement. Is there more? Hell yes. But start with these. Trust me, the payoff is big. Here's the thing, freeing up your time isn't about just getting more done. It's about creating space for what truly matters. It's about leading, not managing. When you step out of the weeds, you empower your team. You create a culture where people take ownership, solve problems, and drive results so you can focus on the bigger picture. Let me leave you with this. Leadership isn't about doing it all yourself. It's about setting the tone, creating the structure, and inspiring your team to succeed without you having to be involved in every step. If you're ready to reclaim your time and focus on what truly matters, I invite you to schedule an exploratory call. No pressure, just a chance to brainstorm on how you can take your leadership and your business to the next level. The link is in the description below if you're interested. Okay, if you like what I shared today, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment below related to your business, and of course subscribe, because each week I'm sharing content to help you and your team embrace change, focus your efforts, and accelerate results. Remember this, you're just one idea away. We'll talk to you soon.